So here it is, a dose of science in the vaccination strategy. So where is the syllabus topic covered? Science and tech. And why it is important? Because vaccination strategy, so basically in this vaccination strategy, basically like Nasal vaccination, basically market authorization, we will discuss. A new term has been used in this one. So this is important for science and tech development and their applications and effect in everyday life. And where is the UPSC main syllabus is like achievements of Indian and science and technology, indigenization of technology and development technology. So this portion is very, very important, because here it is mentioned that vaccination and booster dose plans must have context in the backdrop of informed by the epidemiological evidence. Okay, so UPSC pre-question has been asked here. Okay, so here is, here is prelims question that is based on vaccination. Based on vaccination. So this is question has been asked UPSC pre 2010. So solved almost 10 to 12 years question asked in the prelim section. So widespread resistance of malaria parasite to drugs like chloroquine has prompted attempts to develop a malarial vaccine to combat malaria. Why is it difficult to develop an effective malaria vaccine? So malarial parasite basically of drugs basically is asking about. So option A, malaria is caused by several species of Plasmodium. Technical name has been asked, Plasmodium. Okay. Man does not develop immunity to malaria during natural infection. Second option might be. First option we cannot say, because several species of Plasmodium that we cannot say. Vaccines can be developed only against bacteria. So as we can see, the COVID-19 is a virus, right? So can we say the vaccine is only developed against a bacteria? No, it's also against like virus also, fungi also. So C option cannot be. D option, man is only an intermediate host and not the definite host. Man is not only an intermediate host and not the definite host. This is not a correct answer, intermediate host and the definite host. So B is the right answer. Man does not develop an immunity to malaria during natural infection. As we can see, here is, it is difficult to develop an effective malarial vaccine because repeated natural infection does not produce dictable resistance to exoerythrocytic cycle of malaria in man. So that's why it's important. Now, okay, here is the next question which has been asked in the pre-2020. So what is the importance of using pneumococcal consecutive vaccine in India? So what is the importance of using pneumococcal consecutive vaccine in India? Take your time, 30 to 40 seconds and solve it, hardly 30 to 40 seconds and solve it, so that you will get a fair idea. So what kind of question has been earlier asked? So option 1 is, these vaccines are effective against pneumonia as well as meningitis and sepsis. Second one, dependence on antibodies that are not effective against drug resistance bacteria can be reduced. Third one, these vaccines have no side effect and cause no allergic reaction. Can you see that any vaccine having no allergic reaction, as we can see like Covishield and the virus is like Covishield and the Covaxin, they have some such kind of side effect, because yes, that can be a very less number, but there isn't some kind of side effect. So option third, if you look it carefully, these vaccines have no side effects and cause no allergic reaction. So the statement is obviously it is a wrong one. So find it out. Where is 3? Here is 3 only. This is incorrect. 1, 2 and 3 also incorrect. Now we are left with only 1 and 2, which is either option A or B. A is these vaccines effective against pneumonia as well as meningitis and sepsis, can be. Second is dependence on antibodies that are not effective against drug resistant bacteria can be reduced. So yes, the statement is also correct. So the right answer would be here. B is the right answer. A or A is the right answer. So B is the right answer. Both the statements were correct, as you can see it here. So this vaccine is 80% effective against meningitis, sepsis and pneumonia. Pneumococcal consecutive vaccine have reduced the burden of antibiotic resistance bacteria disease. Globally says that Lancet study report 2017. So the second statement was right. Various research papers have indicated that vaccine may cause creation certain side effects and allergic reactions. So obvious third option is incorrect one. Okay. So here is what types of vaccine is here mentioned. So look at very carefully. So pathogen for which we need a vaccine train our immune system. See, pathogen basically once we have a handshake, like once we close, like once we have a handshake with anyone, so virus has been transmitted from one place to other places. But it means pathogen must have a contact surface through which they will spread it. So pathogen is an organism that cause disease. Example of pathogens like include bacteria, virus, fungi, that is known to be a pathogen. So pathogen for which we need a vaccine. Vaccine train our immune system fight for pathogen. So vaccine types is here, as we can see, here is a component vaccine and here is a whole vaccine. So vaccine platforms designed to protect against viral disease. So what is the main work of vaccine? They will just build up your such kind of immune system so that your host cell will be fight such kind of disease. So component vaccine and here is a whole vaccine. Component, what exactly the component vaccine is? Protein subunit, virus like particle, DNA based, RNA based vaccine, non-replicating viral vector, replicating RVA, which is replicating viral vector. Whole vaccine is like inactivated or live attenuated. So because here is, if you talk about like COVID-19, here is a RNA based vaccine. COVID-19 Covishield is an RNA based vaccine. So DNA based vaccine, RNA based vaccine. So protein form the pathogen only. Make sure protein forms in the, like in the spike protein, as we can see in the COVID, here is such kind of spike protein is as you can see in the COVID-19. So protein from the pathogens only, protein that mimic the pathogen itself. So that one protein we are talking about, and that protein will mimic the pathogen itself, virus like particles. Here is a genetic material from pathogens only. That genetic material is the DNA and as well as RNA. Non-replicating, what is the work of non-replicating? Another virus that cannot copy itself carry the pathogen genes. And genes is basically a that is a part of DNA, right? And another virus that can copy itself carries the pathogen genes. It means they can from one types, it means copied from one, and they formed a lots of spike through itself. So that's why that the COVID virus is spreading too much, right? And this one inactivated, so killed pathogens that cannot be replicated itself. So whole vaccine having a two types are inactivated or live attenuated. So this is weakened from the pathogen. So what exactly the word of pathogen, which is that is an organism that cause pathogen is an organism that cause disease, that spreaded a disease. Pathogen is responsible for spreading the disease. So Here we are aware that what kind of vaccine types is component vaccine, and here is whole vaccine. So that here is somehow is an explanation about how many types of vaccine and how it is spreading. 6 weeks after the Indian government announced precautions shot on the third dose of COVID-19 vaccines for selected populations, there have been four relevant developments. First, two COVID-19 vaccine have received conditional market authorization. So what is the term is used, market authorization, we will discuss in this article. Second phase is 3 clinical trials which include the booster dose of nasal COVID-19 candidate. Nasal, it means most of the vaccines that we are going through the either in the form of injection, because in the kind of polio is vaccination, it was through the droplets, as we are aware about, like polio vaccine, and most of the vaccine is taken from the mouth or either in the form of injection. But here is the first time is clinical trial was going on through the nasal mode, which means with the help of in the nose they will insect or inject through the vaccination. So nasal COVID-19 candidate vaccine have been approved. What exactly this one? So third, the Omicron wave has largely swept through the country. As we can see, this one data is not more so relevant. Is here 5,000 crore or blah blah. This one mentioned. So what is market authorization? The news of market authorization of Covishield and Covaxin has generated a lot of interest. Many have thought that from now on anyone who wishes can buy COVID-19 vaccine and have it administered at their will or on a doctor's prescriptions. That is what market authorization. Market authorization usually means for most medical products. So basically market authorization terms has been used in this article, which usually means for most medical products. However, these two COVID-19 vaccines have received not the full but a conditional market authorization, because vaccine is not easily available for ever in everywhere, and that's why the term has been used as market authorization. Okay. Here is what is nasal vaccine. What is that nasal vaccine? In nasal approach, the vaccine dose is given via nose rather than orally or through the arm. So basically, nasal approach, that nasal dose is given via nose rather than orally or through the arm. As the target is to deliver a dose which goes right into the respiratory pathways, the vaccine is either injected through a specific nasal spray or through aerosol delivery. Aerosol, which means it is spreading in the air and through which that we are taking it. But how the nasal vaccine is work? Because as you can see, most of the type of vaccine is going through the injected through in the mouth, or we can say in the syringe. But here is a nasal approach, the vaccine dose is given via nose rather than orally or through the arm. So in this approach, vaccine dose is given via orally or through the arm, as the target is to deliver the dose which goes right into respiratory pathway. A doctor will spray the vaccine into your nostrils with a small syringe that has no needle. It usually takes about 2 weeks for it to start to work, given the potency and rapid spread of the coronavirus, some says it. Okay, so we must aware about how it works and what are the efficiency if we talk about. How the nasal vaccine is different from that other vaccines. So many microbes, including the coronavirus, enters the body through the mucosa, wet squishy tissue. Whatever is mucosa? Mucosa is basically in the upper part of nose, but there is very wetty part which the new kind of virus has to be attached easily and goes through into the lungs. So mucosa wet is squishy tissue basically that line the nose, mouth and lungs and digestive tract, triggering a unique immune response from the cells and molecules there. So intramuscular vaccines generally do a poor job of eliciting this mucosal response. Mucosal response, how your immune is responding the virus. Must instead rely on immune cells mobilized from elsewhere in the body flocking to the site of infection. Many microbes, including the coronavirus, enters the body through the mucosa bit. So the questions can be easily framed like the virus is entering through the body with the help of mucosa bit, yes, and it's a very squishy tissue that line the nose, mouth, lungs. Intramuscular vaccines generally do a poor job of eliciting this. So what is the work of mucosal response is that must instead rely on immune cells mobilized from elsewhere in the body flocking the site of infection. So what is the work of this mucosal response is important. If your immune system has to be built up with the help of vaccine, that your body will fight through the vaccine. Okay, how effective is it? An effective nasal does not only protect against COVID-19, but it also prevents the spread of disease by offering another kind of immunity. So make sure that how it is effective. It also prevents the spread of disease by offering another kind of immunity that occurs primarily in the cells that line the nose and throat. The nasal vaccine targets immune cells present in the where is mucosal membrane. Mucosal membrane is kind of like some kind of wet part is here, and that kind of membrane has to be found, right? So mucosal membrane and tissue which provides systematic as well as mucosal immunity present in the other sites such as lungs and the intestines. So a nasal vaccine may be more capable of inoculating crowds against the deadly infections and prevent even mild symptoms from developing. So basically the virus is a nasal vaccine is more capable of inoculating crowds against the deadly infection and prevent even mild symptom of developing. So why this one was important, because the vaccine process and vaccine earlier, as you are aware about, vaccine hesitancy term has to be used. So that's why this section was important in terms of science and tech and health portion. Okay, so here it is. Indian Express part is here explained. Easy deliveries, it cuts down the need for the syringe, needles and alcohol swabs, because in the most of the injection through the vaccine is going through the process of injection, so that's why there is no down of the use of syringe. So with the cost cutting, we can say needless and alcohol swabs. Producer dependency on the trained staff. So if instructions are followed properly, it is like using a regular nasal spray. You can administer it yourself. It means you can inject this vaccine it yourself. So no need to be in a crowd in a place. So infrastructure no needed for this. So government is reducing the cost. Additional immune response is while intranasal and injectable vaccine both help develop immune response in the blood, intranasal vaccines could also tap into another set of immune cells found in the tissues lining the nose, which is mucosal tissue we have discussed in this one. The T cells in this tissue can create a memory to patrol and the places that they first encountered the virus. So T cells is basically, we can say, is a kind of host cells that is spreading with the help of coronavirus.